I served 21 years in the military, and a number of those flying the Harrier, an airplane that has the moniker the Widowmaker. A lot of my friends are no longer with me, and in certain points I served as a pallbearer for their funeral. Our squadron, when we deployed to Afghanistan, our call sign was the Flying Nightmares. So everybody in the squadron considered themselves a nightmare. That was our moniker, so to speak. I begin the book by saying that my religious convictions are tepid at best, but there are no atheists in a foxhole. While I was deployed in Afghanistan, I began to question my faith greatly and myself. In fact, I was really mad at God, and I refused to pray. And then one day I prayed really hard. I prayed really hard, but I wasn't in a foxhole. I was above it. I was 20,000 feet above the Hindu Kush in my sheltered cocoon, a Harrier. But I prayed when I heard the muted cries of men who at last understood their fate. And that's how I came about titling the book, It's a Nightmare's Prayer. The Distinguished Flying Cross is America's oldest and highest military aviation award. It's given to aviators who distinguish themselves through heroism or extraordinary action in flight. My wingman and I were awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross 2 years after we supported a National Guard Special Forces team. They had been ambushed, they were separated into 3 groups, and they were in a pretty dire situation when my wingman and I arrived overhead. When we heard their cries on the ground, we dove our jets to the ground, trying to draw their fire, and then we supported them for the next 5 hours. We were able to get them to regroup, and we were able to protect them while they withdrew to safety. We bombed the enemy several times, we strafed them, and we would refuel from an aerial tanker that was overhead. I think the thing that was most amazing to me was 5 days later, when that Special Forces team was back inside the wire in Bagram, that we were able to talk to these soldiers, and to a man, to hear them express to me and my wingman their gratitude for what we did. Well, that's something I will cherish for the rest of my life. The book itself took 2 years to write, 2.5 years. I wrote it one time and then actually got feedback from my sister who said it would never work. It read like a report. And I knew at that point that if I was going to write a good book, that I needed to just do a no-holds-barred look at combat and tell it just like it was. So I described the emotions that I felt when I left. I described the emotions when I was over there, where I missed my son and my family, and maybe the selfishness of just wanting to return. I deal with the issues when I came back home and trying to integrate back into society after, for a full year, for 365 days, 24 hours a day, all we did was live and breathe war. And then you come back to society and it's moving along like it's never taken place. It wasn't like I recreated a revisionist history of what happened. I went back to my journals and read my emotions and I portray them. I think that doing so makes a man look weak and vulnerable, and I took a chance in doing that. But if one thing could be said, it's an honest portrayal of how it is.